welcome to my channel. It's Marie. Hey, today I'm going to go in depth about our schedule for next school year coming up in August. I know it's really hard to find people sharing their schedules or their rhythms, especially ones that incorporate the Waldorf style. So mine's not pure Waldorf. I'm pulling from lots of different inspirations like Montessori, of course Waldorf, a little bit of unschooling, and the 5-hour school week. Those are kind of the main contributors that I've used to plan our school rhythm for next year. And I just wanted to share with you guys what it's going to look like. So here we go. So that little intro was the books that I'm currently reading, but let's get to the meat of this video. A detailed schedule of how I'm incorporating Waldorf into my children's homeschool. And so this isn't applied yet, this is just my plan for next year, and I've gone through several different versions. I originally wanted to go more of a Waldorf purist style. I've been really interested in Waldorf and studying it a lot. And I kind of had the idea that if I went with one certain method of homeschooling, like I had to go all in. As I've kind of planned and developed this schedule, I've realized that we can pull from different sources, different ideas from different homeschool mamas and different curriculums and different, different homeschool styles to make what works for our family. And I hope that maybe you can get some ideas for your family, not doing it exactly how we're going to do it, but use some ideas and do something that works for you guys. So here is a visual plan of what I came up with in order to do the Waldorf blocks with each of my kids, keeping them one-on-one time with me, so they could have their own separate child age appropriate lessons. So here we got circle time, rotations, first block, snack, second block, third block, lunch, and then a group block. And then here is where I fit each kid in each day with each block slot or block time slot. And then I redid it over here so it worked a little better. So I had the older kids switching days while the younger ones always stayed on the same day. Okay, so as you guys can see, I was going to be doing 5 main lesson blocks at the same time. So I had one for each of my 4 kids that are in homeschool, and then one group one. And I was super excited about it, but my husband pointed out to me that maybe I was going to get burned out, and I was like, oh no, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. But as I got to thinking about it, I realized that he was right. As soon as the kids went to bed, I would start studying and studying because I needed to plan all of these lesson blocks, and I needed to get stories for all of these lesson blocks, and I needed to memorize the stories for these lesson blocks and get the little peg people and props and create an art page, you know, for each one, for each story that I was going to share with my kids. And yeah, I did realize that I was going to hit burnout because I was doing all this work already before the school year had even started. In fact, before our old school year had even ended. And so I realized, yeah, that wasn't gonna work so well for me. And then also for my children, it was going to be a lot of transitions because we were going to go from group time to our first lesson block, to snack time, to our second lesson block, to our third lesson block, to lunch, to our final lesson block. And it was just going to be really hard to gather the one I needed to me and start the lesson block with them. And plus I was only going to have 40 minutes for each one. And so I felt like we really had to be on a set schedule. And I think I would have felt really rushed and hurried instead of relaxed and unhurried. Because of those 3 things, overload on my part, too many transitions for my kids, and then too strict of a schedule, I decided that wasn't really going to work. So I went back to the drawing board and I came up with this other idea. So this next idea I had, instead of having 3 lesson blocks a day, I was going with 2 lesson blocks a day and we were going to do a 2-day rhythm instead of a 3-day rhythm. So it's a little simpler that way. I blocked out the whole calendar with each child's lesson block, so each child is a different color, and then the green ones were lesson blocks we were going to do as a group. That simplified it a little bit, but it still wasn't where I wanted, and I really wanted my kids to be able to have a say in what they were learning and be more child-led. And so I came up with the idea of having one child with me. So again, each color is a child. So one child with me for a whole 3 or 4 week block, while the other kids worked independently on their chosen lesson block. And I liked this a lot better. And this is pretty close to what I ended up doing. However, there were a few things I didn't like about this. I didn't like that the child would have to wait 3 months or 4 months in between each time that they would have one-on-one time with me. And I didn't like that I felt like I had to take them away into their separate room so that they wouldn't be distracted and they could really focus on their lesson. And then the other kids would have zero access to me if they needed any help or encouragement while they were working on their independent lesson plans. And so I scrapped that idea. And what I came up with was something that I think is really going to work for our family. So we're going to have a morning time together and a snack. And then after the snack, we're going to have our main lesson block, but it's not going to be me teaching it to them. It's going to be them choosing what they would like to learn about and studying on their own about that subject that they've chosen or topic that they have chosen. And the one thing that I didn't like about that is I wasn't getting that one-on-one time with each kid. I really felt good about taking them with me and having that one-on-one time, because it's hard to do that. It's hard to fit that in when you have multiple children. And so I really wanted to incorporate that. So I was inspired by another YouTube mama who said she's just going to pull each kid aside and just snuggle with them on the couch and read to them. And I just felt like this calm, peaceful feeling like, yes, that's what I need to do to get that one-on-one time with my children. And so during that 1 hour block, so this comes from the 5-hour school week, where they just have a 1 hour period where they study really hard, and it's on a topic that they choose, and they have what they call a learning buffet, with just all these materials about that chosen subject. So while my kids are doing that, I'm going to pull one kid aside each day and just read to them one-on-one, snuggle on the couch with them, and that way I can get that one-on-one time with each kid. And the book that I'm going to read with them is going to be a book that correlates with their chosen subject. And then also I'm going to make sure I regularly tell them a story. Instead of reading, I tell them a story about the subject, and I help them with an art piece that goes with that, so they can add that into their main lesson books. So yeah, it's going to be Waldorf-ish in that we are doing main lesson blocks and our main lesson book that go with the blocks. Also, we're incorporating other Waldorf-ish things into our homeschool, and I'll go through detail our morning routine that kind of incorporates that. There's also some Montessori thrown in there. There are so many great ideas out there and so many things I want to teach my kids and I want my kids to learn, and I've just realized that I can't fit it all in. And so I've had to cut out a lot of things that I really wanted to do with my kids, but I feel like leaving them with time to do what they want to do and to follow their passions. This is why I say I'm incorporating unschooling, because I'm making sure they have plenty of time to follow their passions and do what they want to do and have that kind of unschooling experience and that kind of learning without guidance and direction from me or from any other teacher. So I had to cut out a lot of things that I wanted to do. One of which was this Mel Chemistry and Mel Physics that I had subscribed to. I was going to use this with my oldest in his main lesson blocks when I was going to be doing main lesson blocks with each child. and it really doesn't fit into our schedule, but I found a way to fit it in, and I'll tell you that at the end of the video, so stay tuned to the end. Okay, so detail of how our day is going to look. Okay, we're going to wake up. They usually wake up naturally about 8 o'clock. So I'm thinking we're going to start around 9. I'm not going to have a set time like, okay, it's 9 o'clock, we've got to start right now. It's going to be more of a rhythm than like a set rigid schedule. So wake up, eat breakfast. They just have a few chores, not anything big. It's mostly personal hygiene, like combing their hair and brushing their teeth and getting dressed, and then also making their bed. Those are the things they're expected to do in the morning, and eating breakfast, of course, before we start our school day. So to let them know that we're starting, instead of saying, "Hey, everyone gather around," I'm going to incorporate a Waldorf style thing of how to call them together and let them know that it's time to start. I'm going to play a song on the pentatonic flute, which I haven't got yet. I'm going to order some. I found some that aren't super expensive. Like there are some really nice wooden ones that are super expensive, like a couple $100 or at least $100. I found some that were under 20, and they are plastic, but they're really good quality and they still have that nice tone. So I'm going to get those for us. So I'm going to play the opening song, or the gathering song, so they all know, okay, I hear the song, it's time to come in and gather. And our first day, I'm going to tell them a story about a boy or girl who has this pentatonic flute and learns how to play these different songs. I don't know the story yet, but it's gonna be fun. And then I'm gonna let them just kind of explore their pentatonic flutes that first day, and then we'll get into learning different songs. You know, every morning it'll be really short, like a really brief lesson, but we'll do it throughout the year. So eventually at the end of the year, we'll know a few songs and we can play those together in the morning. And then we're going to do our opening verse, again, a Waldorf thing. Opening verse, light a candle. The kids are going to be able to take turns lighting and blowing out candles. And yes, I'm a little worried about the wrong person blowing out the candle and fits and tears and sadness coming from that, but hopefully it'll be okay, and it will usually work out nicely. Gathering song, opening verse, light the candle, and then we're going to do our reverence song or hymn, a family prayer, and a short scripture, where either I'm just reading a scripture or I'm telling them a scripture story with like little peg dolls and stuff. We'll switch it up and try to add some of that excitement and enchantment into it. And then we'll get out our journals, and this is all together. We're going to get out our journals and have a little journal writing time. And this isn't going to be graded. I'm not going to say you have to write a certain number of lines. I'm not even going to look at it if they don't want me to look at it. It's just a personal journal that we are all going to write, and I'm going to write in mine too. And I'm going to add some enchantment in there. So I got this enchantment idea, of course, from the Brave Learner. Try to sprinkle in enchantment by having like stamps and stickers and washi tape and fun different pens that they can use for their journal writing. So once we've had some time to do that, I will start reading from a box of books. Our morning basket is going to be morning basket, and we'll have all our supplies in there. So I'll have several books in there, just short ones that I'm going to read. One's going to be Life of Fred, because they all really like that, and that will help us get some daily math in. And then like some science books, some poetry books, some picture books, and we'll just read a selection of those together. They can continue writing in their journals while I'm reading, so there's not a certain time that they have to cut off and be done with their journal writing. So it's more free flow, breathing in, breathing out, unhurried, stuff like that. So once we're done with read alouds, we'll get up and we'll be active, and this is going to be our active memorization part of the day, where we're going to memorize like our phone number, math facts, just some different things. It could be scriptures, it could be like important sayings, whatever. I think it's mostly going to be math facts and stuff like that, but we can throw in some different memorization stuff, and this is going to just be really short, like 5 or 10 minutes, and it's going to be super active. One of the ideas I really liked from the Brave Learner is they jumped off a couch or bench or something into a pile of pillows. So they would say their memorization, either their skip counting or their their multiplication facts, and then they would all jump into the pillows. So I really like that. So we're going to try that on the first day of school and see how everyone likes that. We'll see how the 14-year-old likes that. I think he might. We'll see. And like tossing bean bags, other active things like that. And then we'll say our closing verse as we clean up like the pillows and the bean bags and the bench or whatever we use. And then the chosen child will blow out the candle. And then we will move into our copywork and dictation. And this is also going to be very short, probably just 10 minutes. So the first day they are going to choose their passage. The second day they are going to copy it, do their copywork. And then the third day I'm going to dictate it and they're going to write it down. And this is going to be from a book or source that has to do with their chosen subject. And so this is also going to go in their main lesson books. I'm going to try to get like some really fun things, like fun different pens and markers and maybe feather pens and ink and different papers and stuff just to make it more fun and exciting. And so we're going to have an opening verse and the candle and closing verse and candle again with this. So that'll give another child an opportunity to light the candle and blow it out. Once that's done, we will have a break time with snack and a read aloud. I'm going to read aloud while they have a snack. And then with the read aloud, we can either do it at the table with like snacks or with sensory bins, like, rice or water or just different things that they can kind of play in while they eat their snack and while they listen. Or we can take it out on a blanket and read outside, or make a big pillow fort or blanket fort and read it in there. You guys give me some more ideas how we can add more enchantment into our read aloud times and into our other subjects too. I guess I'll probably have a candle with the read aloud too, just so that I have 4 opportunities since I have the 4 kids, so they can each light and blow out a candle each day. And then our last portion of our official schooling time is going to be the hour where they have their main lesson block that they've chosen, and it's more self-guided. So we're going to they're each going to have a basket full of the resources that they're going to use to study this main lesson, and it's not going to just be textbooks. I'm going to try to get living books and fun books and like activities and puzzles and maybe games, just as many fun things as I can for them to really explore and get into this subject. If it's applicable, there can be hands-on projects that they can choose to do with this to help them learn about their chosen subject. And that will last about an hour. I'm not going to be super strict and be like, okay, our hour's up, we need to stop, because I really want it to be more of a rhythm, more of a flow. If they're busy doing something, I don't want them to have to stop, okay? But it should be about an hour. Like, I'm not going to just let them do 5 minutes and be done. That's why I say this isn't exactly unschooling. In fact, it's a far cry from it. But we're going to be done then with our school day, so then we'll have lunch and listen to an audiobook during lunch, and then the rest of the day is their unschooling time. I will have a few things scheduled because I really want us to have an opportunity to get out and do service. I really want us to have an opportunity to interact with other homeschool families, and I really want them to have an opportunity to get out into the real world and interact in real world situations. So we're going to do grocery shopping. We're going to do volunteer work on Monday at an animal shelter, grocery shopping on Wednesdays, and then Friday is going to be our playgroup day and our field trip day. We'll probably do a field trip once a month, and then playgroup the other weeks of the month. So that is the plan. I really like the idea of grocery shopping and having them be responsible. We've started that already. So they are helping me plan the menu. They're helping me plan the grocery list. We're actually doing that today. And they help me, they're learning how to pick the produce, how to make sure there's no bruises and stuff like that, and how to choose ripe fruits versus not ripe fruits and things like that. So they're learning a lot, and eventually I want to put more responsibility on them. So by the end of the year, they are actually doing all the grocery shopping by themselves. They're planning the menu by themselves. Unless there's something I really want, I can help them with that too. They are writing down the list by themselves. They're putting everything in the basket by themselves, and they are checking out and paying for it. Not with their money, obviously. So I just think that's a real world learning opportunity that I haven't been giving them, because I always just go by myself because it's so much easier, right? And so then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are totally open, and I was really tempted to do our science and our art on those days, but I really want to leave space for them to do what they want. And so I've intentionally left those open for them to do whatever they want to do. And so how am I going to fit the science in? They really, really like science demonstrations or science experiments. Like, that's one of the very most favorite things that they did last year. And like I said, I have these kits already, so we might as well use them. And these are things that they can't use on their own. Like, it's 10 years and up, and there are safety goggles and gloves and all kinds of precautions you have to do with these mixing chemicals and stuff. So I had this awesome idea, and I'm so excited. So Thursday mornings, they are not going to be required to brush their teeth. If they want to, they can, and comb their hair and get dressed and make their bed. Okay, it's just going to be a fun pajama morning. And when they wake up, they're going to find on our kitchen island a science demonstration set out and ready to go. And I'm going to either tell a story to teach them the principles, and then show them the demonstration, involve them, have them help me do it. Or I'll have the demonstration there, and we'll do it together. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be our fun science pajama mornings, I guess. And then I was a little worried that I might get burned out doing a science demonstration every single Thursday. So sometimes it doesn't have to be a science demonstration. It can be something like food from a different culture, where we'll have like this breakfast from a different culture, and like maybe a video about that area and those people. And then another fun thing that we're going to do with that is on Wednesdays during our morning basket time, when I'm reading them, the read alouds, I'm going to have only books that have to do with the next morning's science demonstration or cultural demonstration. And I'm not going to tell them, I'm going to let them figure out and see how long it takes them to correlate that there's a clue on Wednesdays to what they're going to wake up in the morning for on Thursdays. So I'm really excited about that. That'll be fun. And I'm going to do a main lesson book about that too, like a family main lesson book. So on Thursdays during our read aloud time, during morning basket, they're going to work on an art project that has to do with that science demonstration. And what I'm thinking is I'll just have like a big paper where they can all contribute. Or if that's not working, if there's fighting and it's not being so cooperative, they can just each do their own, and we can compile it together. And I'm going to write down notes about what they say and what they discover on their own, like their different conversations about the experiment or the culture. And I'm going to write that down, and I'll do that during dictation time, during copywork time, so that I'm doing copywork as well while they're doing copywork. So yeah, I think that will be really good. And the Fridays are a little different. It's not our regular schedule. They're fun Fridays. We're going to have a shortened morning time. We're still going to have like the opening verse and candle and journaling time. Well, actually, instead of journaling time, we're going to have free write Fridays. So they're going to do a free write. And I can do more details about what a free write is and stuff in a later video, but they're going to do a free write, and that also can go in their main lesson book. So we're having all these opportunities throughout the day that's going to help them create content for their main lesson book. And so after that, we're going to do the 50 states. We started that this year, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to go on our field trip or do our playgroup, our fun Friday adventure playgroup. So that is our schedule, our detailed schedule. I hope you guys learned something from that. I hope you got some inspiration and some ideas of how you can incorporate Waldorf into your homeschools, or incorporate other ideas into your homeschools, and also be brave enough to cut things out to give your kids plenty of time to have their own kind of learning in a natural way. I forgot to mention that some of our lesson blocks I'm going to lead them instead of my kids choosing. So the very first the very first few weeks, we are going to have a gentle introduction and kind of add things slowly, and so they won't actually have that main lesson block time. But then 2 or 3 weeks in, we'll start our full schedule, and we'll start with a group lesson block. And the first one is going to be Native Americans and house building, and it's also going to incorporate some math concepts into that curriculum, or into that main lesson book. So we'll do it together so they can have an idea of like how to make their main lesson books and things like that. I'm also going to have an example. I think I'm going to do a cicada main lesson book example or maybe a bird one, because those are 2 things that I've really been learning about lately and that I think will be fun to do. So these are some science experiments, science demonstrations that we're going to be doing once school starts. Okay, we're going to have a Thursday morning science pajama day. Won't that be fun? Chemistry, you read that! It's chemistry. Yep, it's chemistry and it's physics.
Do chemistry.
Are you excited? I'm excited too. I'm so excited. So excited. I'm excited about our Christmas Norway knitting unit that we're going to do. We have some good and beautiful books about Christmas in Norway. And then we're going to learn knitting because my daughter really, really wants to learn knitting. And I told her that we were going to be learning knitting when I was originally going to be doing all the crazy main lesson blocks. And so another thing that's cool about that, though, is that my ancestors are actually from Norway. My grandma's Grandma Annie. So I got to grow up near my grandmother, and she would always talk about her Grandma Annie. And Grandma Annie came from Norway to America. And one really cool thing about that is she brought her spinning wheel, and my grandma had the spinning wheel in her house that we got to see and we got to touch and we kind of got to grow up with. And they weren't supposed to bring that kind of stuff over with them. They were only supposed to bring their essentials. And so what Grandma Annie did is she disassembled it and hid it through several different suitcases and brought it over that way and then put it back together. And so I'm going to tell them stories about that when we're learning how to knit and incorporate that with the Norway and the Christmas. So that one will be really fun. And then right before Halloween, I guess that's before Christmas, but right before Halloween, we're going to do a math in the garden / harvest unit so that's going to be math too. And we're going to be doing lots of fun harvesting crafts and incorporating math with that. And then at the end, near the end of the year, we're going to do another math in the garden unit where we're planning our garden and planting our garden. And then they're also going to do a unit which will be a self-chosen unit and self-directed, but it's going to be, I'm going to require them to choose a math theme, okay? So they're going to do one self-chosen and directed unit, but it has to be about math. And I'm hoping that this will help them see that math can be fun. I'm a little worried that it might have the opposite effect and they'll be like, why do we have to do math? But I'm going to give them some ideas of some really, really fun math topics, like math in art or like geometric patterns and things like that. That hopefully, or a mathematician that's really interesting, that hopefully will help them realize that, yeah, math is really cool and really fun. So that, I think, is everything I wanted to say. Is that everything you want to say? You want to say anything? Are you excited for school to start again after the summer? Yeah.
Because we're going to do this.
Because we're going to do this. Let's get this. Because we're going to do this, huh? That's going to be super fun, huh? Yeah. Oh, and typing. Typing was another thing that I took out that I really wanted my kids to all learn. But you love typing, right? So maybe you can choose one of your blocks to be typing. And what I really would like to do is get like an old typewriter and learn how to type on that. That would be fun, huh? And maybe later on. See, what's a typewriter? Exactly. You guys have never even seen a typewriter, huh? I'll show you what a typewriter is. Yes, you've seen them at the museums, and you pushed them. You push it, and it like stamps the letter.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? They're kind of expensive, but maybe later on in the year we'll get one, and we'll incorporate that into our copywork and our dictation. That might be fun. All right, so I hope you guys...
Pretty expensive.
It will be pretty expensive, yeah. We'll have to save up our money, huh? I'll have to save up my money.
Everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.